I'm just going to go ahead and adjust my settings quickly. I ended up running into the studio this evening. I have a nice little professional setup, but unfortunately, for some reason, everything started going wrong. I want to find out more about your business. So it's the May Collective, right?
Yes, the May Collective. So, I mean, my business is actually sort of going through an evolution at the moment. What I sort of do now is I coach women who are female entrepreneurs, specifically not just to sort of set up their business, but to have their business built around themselves, their personal brand, and being an online influencer. So I've sort of identified that a lot of women who are starting their online businesses, they do really want to position themselves as a thought leader. They really want to be the go-to person within their niche or within their industry, but they're just having trouble sort of getting visible online. So that is more so specifically what I do now with the May Collective. I used to sort of just do the sort of idea to launch female entrepreneur coaching, but niching down myself even a bit more now, and moving more towards that. Titled myself as a business and digital influencer coach, so really helping women increase their online influence.
And then are you working one-on-one with these women, or is this a group program? Are these information products?
Yeah, so I mean, I predominantly work one-on-one with women now. I'm actually in the development stages of more so like I don't want to call it an online course because it's so much more than that. It's actually going to be called the Influencer Academy. And what it is really an online community. It will be like an online portal with a course in it, but as well as that weekly hangouts, office hours, and a private Facebook group. So it'll be for women who really want to position themselves as an influencer. That is what I'm in the development of now, but predominantly what I do at the moment is work one-on-one with clients.
And I should preface this, and I don't know if I'm going to be editing this out, or our conversation in the beginning. I have been recording, but I've binge watched your YouTube channel, and you have quite the following on YouTube. So at what point did this business come about? Was the YouTube following there, and then you said, oh, I have this experience in being an influencer myself, let me teach other women how to do it just like I have done it? How did this come to be?
Yeah, so I mean, I actually get called out on this quite a bit because I think when people do see me speak about my business online, and I'm really against this sort of quick fix kind of entrepreneurial journey. But then a lot of people say that your business grew so quickly. I had the YouTube long before the business idea was even in infancy, before it was even an idea. I actually started my YouTube about 3 years ago, and I was sort of just building the YouTube channel. I originally started building my channel doing fitness content, which now seems kind of crazy because fitness has very much fallen by the wayside with this whole entrepreneurial business owner thing. But in more fitness and lifestyle content, and I grew my audience quite a bit before even sort of building my business. And then when I did launch, I think that was the main reason why I was able to have so much success so quickly with my business, was the fact that I already had the audience there. I mean, it's just really going against the grain of like the traditional marketing. It's you build a business and then attract the audience. I sort of attracted the audience, then built the business. So also the Influencer Academy is sort of going to teach entrepreneurs and influencers to do the same. So if you're an influencer, how to build a business. If you're an entrepreneur, how to build your influence, if that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense, because that's exactly what I've been seeing. And I tell these stories all the time when I meet up with friends and they have certain passions or hobbies. And I say, oh, I follow this person online and she grew her following and now she makes millions of dollars helping other people do the same. And it's crazy how that has evolved just over the last couple of years, where that influencer piece is so important within it.
Yeah.
And it's also interesting because I follow a lot of men in this space that speak to influencer marketing. I don't follow too many women that use that specific terminology. Everything about your business I was just intrigued by. Now, are you working specifically with women that are in, because obviously people that are listening or watching can hear your accent, which is absolutely lovely. Are you working with women primarily in Australia, or is this kind of an international thing? Is there a lot of Americans that are on board?
I have one Australian client. I love working with my Australian client. Well, she's actually lives up the road from me, which is even better. I really do love the whole face-to-face aspect of my business, and I will move sort of more maybe next year into doing live workshops and seminars and things like that within Australia. But my business is international. It's online. Like I have, yeah, clients predominantly in America. A lot of them do come from America, but also in the UK. I have Prague. I've had clients in Africa as well, which has been really cool. Like I just love the fact that I'm sort of able to have these close relationships that I would never have been able to have if it wasn't for, launching a business into that online space. I think it really gives you an appreciation as well for the differences between, I guess, the geographical locations of entrepreneurs and the different challenges that they do face. I think we get very one-minded in our businesses sometimes, but yeah, I mean, pretty much all around the world with my clients at the moment.
That's so cool. So now, all right, so you have this huge international following on YouTube that started with fitness, and you say it's out there, especially with entrepreneurship. I'm sure you're incredibly busy, but I mean, that is also another form of self-help, self-development. But so you have this following. How did you say, hey, I'm now open for business? Come work with me.
Yeah, so I mean, I slowly transitioned my channel from the whole health and fitness stuff. I mean, I was like hardcore, like if it fits your macros, weightlifting kind of fitness for a while there. But I think, as you mentioned at the start, I did go through this real, it was when I was coming up to the end of my degree, I went through this real like, oh, what am I going to do kind of, I need to do something self-development kind of phase. I sort of launched myself into social media marketing with all the fears in the world. And didn't really do anything with that. And then sort of as I started evolving, my channel started evolving. As I sort of got more into self-development, productivity, my channel came with me essentially. So the transition was actually quite slow. I mean, you can look back and see the like slip-ins of videos that were a bit different. But then when I did launch my business, it was earlier this year, I sort of had made a few vlogs that was sort of explaining what I was doing, what I was working on. I myself was working with a coach at the time. So I sort of had mentioned it a couple of times, made a couple of videos sort of leaking the information, I guess, about what was coming up, and then pretty much just made a video launching, I am open for business pretty much. I have some free resources here. And I was just so surprised. It really was one of those surreal moments that I sort of went to bed and woke up with just a full schedule of discovery calls. It really was like absolutely amazing. And the momentum sort of continued on from there.
Well, and what's so fun about this and where I want to gear this conversation is the specific, I've done something myself, become successful at it. Now I want to teach someone else how to do it. And I feel like that's where that's what I'm interested in. Of course, influencer marketing is definitely what I'm interested in too. But you have an enormous amount of resources within YouTube that people can go and check that out. And I highly recommend it. Like I said, I got lost in her video. She talks about all these different business books where I'm like, oh my gosh, I love those too. So anyway, yeah. But how did you sit down and say, this is what I'm going to teach them? How do you create that curriculum, I guess, where you say, you look back at your past 2 years or at other people that you've connected with, maybe within your network, and say, these are the steps that we've taken in order to be successful? Was that something where you sat down and you outlined it? What did that look like?
It has changed so much from the day that I have launched my business. I mean, initially I sort of just chose, okay, so what is it that I'm going to teach people how to do? And as I mentioned, when I started my business, it was like, okay, I'm going to teach you how to take your business from idea to launch. And I really mapped out the steps that I did with my business, my first business aside, because there were so many of the steps that I did miss. I didn't have a website, didn't do much social media marketing. Mind you, I was a social media marketer. I was very much just working through word of mouth for my first business. But I, sort of just figured out, okay, so what have I done to get this business off the ground? What are the steps that I have taken? And I really built my first program, or the modules in my first sort of program, what I was going to coach people through based on that. But as I actually started working with clients, I started a Facebook group as well, where I saw, women started connecting with each other. And as I saw more people had trouble with this, more people needed help with this stuff that I didn't even think that people needed help with, my program sort of evolved along the way. And now it really has evolved more into that sort of helping women, with the influencer marketing. I wouldn't actually say it's influencer marketing. It's more positioning, and I'm not really sort of helping them sort of work with brands or anything like that as an influencer. It's really building that personal brand and positioning themselves as, a thought leader or the go-to person. But yeah, so I sort of just, my program has very much evolved along the way, and I do a lot of research. So I spend a lot of time in my group. I spend a lot of time in other groups. This whole week I've been booked out for the Influence Academy. I've booked out calls with women in my group, sitting down and having deep, long conversations with them about what they actually need. So, and I'm a serial tester as well. So I talk about this all the time. I constantly am working with coaches. I'm constantly learning and I'm constantly testing. So some people are like, oh, everything's changing so much, but I would never coach someone something that I haven't had success with in my business myself. So I try out all strategies. If they work, I teach them. If they don't, they leave me.
Well, and it's funny that you talked about that, because that's where I feel like because I'm very much interested in doing something similar where I'm teaching something to someone else that I've found success in or I've been able to do. But what I get stuck on personally, and I'm sure people can relate to this, is that I don't have everything completely mapped out and perfect. And I don't know exactly what my ideal person would want to hear from me. And I love that what it sounds like is you are constantly evolving. You put something out there, got feedback, and you're constantly making adjustments then. But going back to, so you've created, you create this like idea or an outline of what it is that you want to teach. Or is this something you initially worked one-on-one with someone, or is this like a video program or an ebook or something that you put out? You talked about the academy. Did that come first too?
Yeah, so the academy is what I'm sort of in the process of building now. I'm very much in the R&D sort of research and development stage of that. As I mentioned, that's what I'm having the conversations with. The content that I was putting out before was pretty much just Skype calls like this. So when I work one-on-one with a client, I will have a weekly Skype call with them and then just sort of give them homework, like worksheets that they can work through based on a particular topic. So the way that I work one-on-one with a client is I'll sort of give them an in-depth questionnaire when they've said, yep, I want to come on board. So I'll very much establish what they need out of me and what modules I need to give them, build them a roadmap. And then the process would be each week I would give them content to work through, and then we would sort of get together and work through that content together on a weekly call.
So someone's coming to you and buying a package or a subscription or a bundle of appointments with you, basically.
Essentially.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a 12-week sort of coaching program. So it's, I guess we would call it more of like a relationship. So like the relationship is there for 12 weeks where I'm going to have a specific set of outcomes that person needs. Obviously everyone's different. Some people already have a website and all of this stuff. So based on their needs, we'll have, a weekly structure, and then, they'll essentially buy the 12 weeks of coaching.
Erin, I love this. I don't know why, because you hear all the time on YouTube and different marketing professionals say you have to go, or the blueprint basically is that you create this course and put it out to the world. And why would you want to work one-on-one with someone when it's not the most profitable thing? But basically what you've done is so smart, because that's what almost all the business books that I read talk about when it comes to physical products or these online tech companies, where you're basically creating a what's that kind of product where it's
like a passive product.
Yeah, something that you put out there though, and you test the waters with, and you get feedback. You're still charging people. You're still making sure that there's a market for it, but you're not necessarily saying, first of all, the first thing out the door is your initial product, that academy.
Yeah.
So that makes me feel a lot better. And I it's not like I haven't heard that before, but it's just good to hear someone with so much influence and so much, where you could have just come out straight with an academy, but instead you said, what can I do today? At least that's what I kind of took away from it. Am I overstepping there?
Absolutely. So one of the coaches that I've worked with has this idea for the general progression of, say, a coach, and it really should be this sort of one-to-one and then one-to-many. And I just think a lot of people do dive into the one-to-many, but to know what the masses need, you need to master your niche. You really need to have such a firm grip on the common trends within that niche to be able to then generalize it enough that you can scale that product. So if you're sort of flying off the hat and just going with what you think a particular market or a particular niche needs, that's where a lot of people run into trouble. Whereas if you spend a year or so working with one-on-one clients, even just discovery calls, I mean, not obviously every single discovery call or consultation call I have convert, but I take detailed notes every single time I'm on a call with someone about what their challenges and issues are, and I have an extremely large folder of data that I've collected, and that it's all contributed to my being able to create a course that I firmly believe is going to help a lot of people to, build their business as an influencer as well, because it does address the challenges that I know so many women have.
Well, okay, so now I want to ask this. So let's say that it's someone that has a personal Instagram and they have no real niche there, but they have a something that they're passionate about. Okay, maybe I'm asking this incorrectly, but for you, did you feel like you were giving a solution to the audience that you had already built, or was this something where you were building a completely new audience after the fact?
So after I started building the academy, do you need, or after I started launching
at the very beginning. So you had this fitness following. Do you feel like those people were the following that was going to purchase any type of positioning or any type of marketing coaching that you were going to be doing later, or is that a new following that you were creating after the fact?
Yeah, so I think a lot of the audience that I did have, so as I sort of mentioned at the start, it was more just that like idea to launch sort of, I really helped brand new entrepreneurs set up their online businesses. So specifically, things like building your website, building, your first marketing funnel, and actually really establishing your brands in your niche and all of that. So that's what I was doing in the beginning. And surprisingly, not surprisingly, the first 3 clients that did come onto my business all wanted to be health coaches. So that didn't surprise me at all, because obviously that was sort of where I really was positioned in the market. But then I just think a lot of my audience, maybe it's the relatability factor, but a lot of my audience were sort of young females, and obviously a huge percentage of them had an interest in starting a business. So the audience, very much was already there. My knowledge of the fact that sort of women were struggling with this whole positioning themselves as an influencer only came through working with those one-on-one clients. And as my channels completely pivoted now, I would say that 90% of my audience is there for the productivity and business content. I think that that's sort of where now my audience, I see more that my audience have that need for the entrepreneurial influencing kind of courses and help.
Right. So now, really fast before I let you go, this is another thing that I'm just amazed that you're able to do, is that you're still putting out a couple videos a week, and yet you're trying to grow this epic business, and you have a lot of calls and meetings with one-on-ones. How do you keep up the video work? How would anyone keep up the video work and the actual business?
Film. Honestly, nothing takes longer than doing your makeup and setting up the lighting for a video. So I think I've got myself, I have a formula, or not really a formula. I think I just am able to sort of film and edit videos quite quickly. I know exactly what titles go where and everything. So the editing does not slow me down. It's the whole getting ready, setting up the room and everything. So I film about 5 to 6 videos at once, film them all, edit them quickly, do all of the stuff that I need to do, and then that's a month's worth of content. Don't have to think about it again. So anything in business, as much as you can automate, as much as you can schedule, is going to be your best friend, until obviously you have the manpower or the woman power for someone else to do it for you. But so automation and scheduling are like my 2 business besties.
Oh my gosh, yes, seriously, on the makeup and the hair and the lighting, that's so true. And to batch it, if I was smart, I would definitely do that. But Erin, where can everyone find out more about you?
So you can either obviously come find me on YouTube, which is probably the main place that I do hang out myself, or in the May Collective Facebook group. I think that's probably the most intimate setting. But if you wanted to find out more about really what I do with the May Collective, you can head to www.themaycollective.com.au.
All right, Erin. Well, thank you so much for doing the call. I'm going to jump on video so I can just chat with you really fast. I thought it was so smart. And the way that I found you was because I